Is Bitcoin right now repeating a similar price explosion to back in 2013 as we talked about a few days ago? Now that's exciting, and that also leads to the question, could we actually end up seeing a cycle where we see something kind of similar? Okay, again, none of these cycles repeat exactly, and that's why I wanted to clarify that at the beginning, but could we see a cycle where we have a massive explosion very, very soon, and then we do have a more prolonged, very interesting looking pullback sideways consolidations for months, followed by another blast off, right? Continued blast off. And completely historic, the cryptocurrency market for the first time has gotten closer than ever to the $1 trillion market cap, and we've seen altcoins absolutely respond by rocketing up in price across the board as well. Let's dump in. Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Charlie Chalupa, and we have so much to be talking about today with the cryptocurrency markets. We're going to be covering some altcoins later in the video. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin and also big boy Ethereum. We're going to be talking about what exactly is going on in some traditional markets as well, because some crazy things are happening. And wow, 2021 is even starting off more wild than 2020 started. And boy, oh boy, I hope it doesn't end up going the same direction. Is 2021 about to get much crazier than 2020? Let's strap on and find out. Wow, so if you guys love gainers, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All comments do enable you to win a Ledger equivalent BTC or access to T4. And without any further ado, let's dive on in. Unbelievable. We've been seeing explosive gainage in the altcoin market, as you can see here, just by looking briefly at CoinMarketCap. And the best chart to really take a look at this are both the crypto cap minus Bitcoin and the entire crypto cap, which for the first time in history has gotten closer than ever to being valued at $1 trillion, which is represented here right by this horizontal purple line, guys. Absolutely explosive for the crypto market. We had Ethereum absolutely rocket up to about $1,215 per Ether, the all-time high, roughly right around a little over 1,400. And guys, later on we're going to be talking about some 4 specific altcoins and their price action. But let's actually see what Bitcoin is doing. So guys, late last night, Bitcoin broke $35,000 for the first time in history, right? Almost smashing straight through 35. Currently, we're actually climbing. So we've been seeing some very volatile price moves over the last hour, specifically from what I've been seeing. I think we're in store for some very explosive price action. And guys, what are the chances that we continue this rally up to a very specific level? And that's what we're going to be taking a look at on this chart. The potential to maybe hit 60, 70,000 US dollars per Bitcoin before having any type of substantial cooldown. As a lot of people are predicting, you know, between 50 and 60,000 US dollars in the short term before any sort of retracement. Again, we could see that balloon much quicker, as we've only seen over the past 3 months. And specifically, even if we just go back on this chart, this is a very speculative chart that I've had on here actually for years, but Bitcoin did trade within this very narrow ascending channel here for years. And the very first time that we actually broke out of it concretely and have not returned to it was back here in November of 2018. I remember doing videos back then. I've said this before, I'll say it again. This was the most boring time to be doing and watching crypto videos. If you were making crypto videos or watching crypto videos back here from September to November of 2018, it was the most boring crypto has ever been since I've entered the markets. Bitcoin literally traded within about a $400 range for about 2 months. Okay, it was insanely boring. And you see, after we broke out of this ascending channel and descending triangle here, we formed the bottom of the Bitcoin market, right around $3,000 per Bitcoin even. And then we formed an ascending triangle, and the rest is history. Ran up to 14, then we set that low because of the crash back in March. But ever since we broke out of this channel, that is when we set our low, just a few weeks after breaking out of it. And Bitcoin has been basically on the rise since then. Now guys, to enter back in that channel, that would actually have to bring Bitcoin, as of right now, up to right about 70,000 US dollars. Which is a price target a lot of people have also mentioned before. Personally, 50 to 60,000 is kind of the common consensus I think I've seen a lot of people talk about in terms of where we're actually heading in the short term. Do I think we're going to hit $50 to $60,000 per Bitcoin in Q1 of 2021? Yes, I do. And I think it's actually likelier that we could head up more higher than that, right? 70,000 I think is more likely. And guys, that's exactly actually where we topped out back on our last parabolic rally back in the summer of 2019. We came into contact with this channel here, just like we broke out of it here. And yeah, 70,000 would be if we would kind of re-enter this. So for me, guys, this is just a very key speculative level that I'm extremely interested to see what Bitcoin pivots or what it does at these levels. And guys, similar to 2013, we had a massive explosion. We consolidated for months, here, just finding support kind of around the 21 week basically is where it ended up really ultimately finding support. It ended up flipping back above it here after slowly going beneath it and set a crazy much higher high than the previous. It was about 250 and then it set a high of about 1200. But that was the end of that bull market. Now the real question is, how much can these institutions pump Bitcoin? And 70,000 US dollars is still nothing. Okay, we're seeing $30,000 being treated as if it was $10,000, meaning we're seeing these dips, like we saw that $6,000 dip just days ago, right? We can just look at it on this chart. We're seeing these dips treated as if they're like $10,000, like prime buying opportunity. We're seeing people buy these dips right up. We're seeing so much pressure pushing Bitcoin to the upside still at this point. So again, like I said, do I think a $70,000 Bitcoin is possible in the first quarter of 2021? Absolutely. The speculative scenario that I think makes the most sense for this year is for continued explosiveness now in the short term, short to midterm, meaning from now for a few months from now, maybe ending in March-ish, somewhere around there. Potentially then seeing some cool down, retracement consolidation maybe towards the middle of this year, and then perhaps continued run up that goes in towards the end of this year, potentially even into the beginning of 2022. Guys, I've said this before, I personally think that this market, the rate that it's growing and the reasons that it's growing, fundamentally, like why institutions and retail are putting their money into Bitcoin because of the failing US dollar and because of other reasons, other crises around the world. I personally think that will change the structure of the cycle. And again, what I mean by that is that we cannot only just look at the past of what Bitcoin's done and it'll tell us exactly what's going to happen. Again, even though I'm kind of comparing loosely our cycle to a similar situation here, I don't think it's going to repeat exactly. But good news in the short term, I personally think we're going to continue to see gains over the long term. As we're just seeing dips bought up way too much at these levels, we're being told that Bitcoin has too much value at these levels by the psychology and by the price action. And actually, if we go to the DXY as well, DXY set a new low today, guys, as we've been saying as well. You guys know this is probably my favorite thing to be looking at. The inverse correlation is absolutely insane, meaning if this dumps, Bitcoin almost always pumps, and when this pumps, Bitcoin almost always dumps. It's absolutely wild, and today we've set yet another new low. This, breaching this level here, right about 88.2, 88.3, roughly here. Breaching below here, which were the lows back in 2018, I really think that's what's going to shoot Bitcoin up. You know, let's say that happens over the next month. Then I personally think it's almost guaranteed we're going to be seeing a $70,000, $80,000 plus Bitcoin, right? I think value is absolutely going to explode into the cryptocurrency space. And ultimately, I think altcoins are also, again, going to start getting propped up with that value. I think, you know, this is not the alt season at all, what we're seeing right now. But this is the beginning of just alts getting a little bit of value, and at some point, even towards the middle of this year, again, lining up with Bitcoin kind of topping out or consolidating a little bit towards the middle of this year, I could see altcoins gaining a lot of value in a short amount of time. But for right now, I still think Bitcoin has much more room to the upside, even in the short term. And with that being said, any moves down to the 21-week moving average, right around 17, a little under 17,000 US dollars, any moves that we could get to that area would probably be extremely long wicks. They would probably get bought up pretty fast at this point. I don't believe it's going to happen, but I just feel responsible for saying that at some point we are going to visit the 21-week moving average. So even though I think it's very unlikely that we're going to be visiting this anytime soon, especially as it's below 20,000 US dollars currently, I just feel that it's my responsibility to always talk about that moving average because that's exactly where Bitcoin consolidates very often. And guys, taking a look at some alts, RSR actually just set a new all-time high today, right around 4 cents. Absolutely wild. You can see all-time highs getting printed for RSR. Now, there are a lot of coins that are actually on the verge of actually breaking their all-time highs as well. Okay, one of my personal favorites, Chainlink, pumped to about $17.30 today, currently about $1 below that. You can see the highs here printed back on August 16th. Chainlink really led that mini run we saw back in the summer of 2020 that ended back basically on this exact day, August 16th. But you see Chainlink very close to its all-time highs, right around 20 US dollars. Again, I think we're going to be seeing that be breached within the next few weeks maximum, I think. We see XLM absolutely exploding as well. Not a current all-time high, but it's breached absolutely some of the most critical levels on XLM's chart here in a very short amount of time. Cardano is another coin that's been absolutely erupting. This is the weekly chart. We began this week around 20 cents, went all the way up to about 35 cents, currently right around 31. The only big resistance I see on this chart is actually right around about 40 cents, which is that previous high that it bounced to after the bull market came to a complete end in 2018. But guys, the key story here is we're seeing a lot of these altcoins start to really approach their all-time highs and getting a lot of big momentum moves. Now, these are big momentum moves, but keep in mind, many of these coins, like Cardano, are not at their all-time highs. There is still a ton of room for these coins to go up, especially in this cycle. So even though we're talking about massive pumps, this isn't even the beginning of alt season yet. There's going to most likely be a very strong alt season, whether it lasts a month, shorter than that, or much longer than that, maybe towards the middle of this year. There's going to be an alt resurgence at some point where alts completely make new all-time highs. Many of them, not all of them, but all of the good coins most likely should make some all-time highs by a lot. We're not talking like maybe doubling their all-time high, but it's possible we could see much more value added into this space than we ever thought possible. Again, maybe this is still months away, I personally think, a true alt season, but we are going to breach all-time highs for a lot of these coins, I think, very easily, even in this first quarter of 2021. And then one of my personal favorites as well, XTZ, currently about $2.50. If we actually go back here, just a few days ago, just a few days ago, it was sitting right around $2, and now it's all the way up at $2.50. So very nice performance. Went all the way up to about $2.75. So again, guys, I think we're going to continue to see these altcoins absolutely rally and explode together here. But ultimately, I personally think, and this is why I think we're still a little bit too far away from complete alt season, I personally think that what needs to happen first is we need to approach that $500 billion mark for the entire altcoin market cap. So the entire cryptocurrency cap minus Bitcoin has to approach about $500 billion, and then I think we're going to see things absolutely flood into this space. But again, that's why I personally think, that's one of the reasons I personally think we're a little far off from a true alt season. But again, does that make right now one of the best, most opportune times to be adding to your alt positions before we really start pumping? Very possibly, because if you would look at this chart and ask, is now the best time to be piling into Bitcoin? No, it's not. The best time, honestly, you didn't have to catch the exact bottom here back in March, or the actual bottom back 2 years ago at $3,000. But basically anywhere around $10,000, which was the major pivot point for Bitcoin for, as you can see, literally years. Okay, this was a huge level of Bitcoin accumulation, basically exactly in this rectangle right here. Okay, we can discount the highs here, the lows here, and some of the highs as well. But basically accumulating anywhere between 9 and 10,000 US dollars, really good level to accumulate Bitcoin. So again, the opportune time to get into Bitcoin has passed. Do I think Bitcoin's going to go a lot higher? Absolutely. But again, I think some prime opportunities, the very best opportunities, actually might lie still in some of these altcoins in terms of percentage gains. But remember, the risk is way different in these altcoins than it is for Bitcoin. The risk is much less with Bitcoin. So obviously that's why my portfolio is heavily tilted towards Bitcoin and Ethereum, because I believe Ethereum is very similar to Bitcoin in sense of safety and lack of risk, right? I don't think Bitcoin or Ethereum are very risky at all. But yeah, I personally think this is potentially your last great chance to get into a lot of different altcoins. As we're seeing a lot of these altcoins, like I said, approach their all-time highs or actually break their all-time highs, for example, like RSR. Wow, so everyone stay safe out there. If you guys are interested in trading, you want to support the channel, you have experience, make sure to sign up with Bybit below, some very nice deposit bonuses. And as well, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.